Hello everyone, this is CJNovo92 and today we are back for another brand new video. Now today's video we're here to talk about something that's honestly just getting out of control. Instead of getting better, it's getting worse and worse as the tide in Scottish football has finally stopped flowing in the one direction. Now there's a little bit of a battle when Scottish football. There's people, there's pundits and there's media outlets and companies out there within Scottish football that just can't handle it. And I think given the fact I don't even have to say the names of the pundits, the companies or even the media outlets within the Scottish game, you already know exactly who I'm talking about. Says it all and sums up why this video is being made. Now media bias and pundit bias has always existed and featured in our game, but this season it just seems to have took a complete and utter new level, and it's spearheaded by two Celtic puppets that continue to greet about Morelos nearly daily. And given what's been said over the last 48 hours about Chris Boyd's position apparently being at risk because he may have an agenda versus Lee Griffiths and all the stuff that's surrounding all this, I've honestly just sat back and been absolutely astounded that these frauds can actually come out here and say this type of stuff with a straight face, knowing damn well the majority of them have an agenda versus Morelos. And it's obvious. Now before we continue on with the main topic in today's video, I just want to address the Lee Griffiths situation very briefly, because I know for a fact there'll be people clicking on today's video looking to clip me out of context or to try and make me look like I'm saying this or I'm saying that. I am taking absolutely nothing away from Lee Griffiths' off the field battle, because there's been reports that he's been struggling with his mental illness and that's why we've not seen him for a long time. I'm taking nothing away at all away from that battle that he's got himself back playing football. This is about his actions when he's on the park, because when you're on the park you have to be held to the same standard as every other single player on the park. You can't have special treatment or preferred treatment, and you can't have that in the media either. The stark contrast in the way that that's been handled compared to other things involving Alfredo Morelos is why I'm sitting here making today's video, because it's absolutely embarrassing from the media. Now granted, Alfredo Morelos has had these problems in the past with his discipline. I mean, you just look at to the season before, he certainly supplied them with a lot of ammunition to fire right back at him from the media. But if you look on from this season, you can see a change in the lad that he's matured in, whether it was Rangers dropping him for Jermaine Defoe towards the end of last season, or it was Colombia picking 11 strikers ahead of him that really just gave him the nudge in the right direction. That's up for debate, but Alfredo Morelos has came into this season a complete and utter different animal, and he's actually been incredible. But instead of getting behind the laddie who's changed these ways and he's working hard on himself and who's helping to raise the profile of the Scottish game, by the way, given his performances especially in European football, they are still unrelenting in their attacks nearly daily to Alfredo Morelos. And listen, I'm not sitting here complaining because they're no nice to him or they're no nice to Rangers. I couldn't care less about that. It's the pure hypocrisy that's in the media that really pisses me off. Now, I'm going to be talking about a couple of incidences over the last couple of months, because if I was to go through every single one involving the media on Morelos, I'd be here for hours, maybe even days. So we're just going to pick out a couple over the last 2 months alone and see how the media treats Morelos compared to others. And I think the best place to start is to go back to December and go to a game involving Motherwell and Rangers, which was a very fiery encounter. There were slide challenges, there was potential red cards all over the shop, ladies and gentlemen. But we get to half time and there's a wee scuffle involving Donnelly and Ryan Jack, because Donnelly keeps running up to Ryan Jack, right? So they go into the tunnel, and at half time they show a 1 to 2 minute montage of Alfredo Morelos battling up against his centre half. You know what I mean? A centre forward battling with a centre half. The thing that happens in every single game ever in world football, whether that's your centre forward giving a wee bump to your centre half, leaving the shoulder in as they walk by, or simply just talking to each other, trying to get into each other's head, it's a very common thing in football, especially with two physical players battling it out. Now, I'm just thankful that it was actually Chris Boyd that they came to while they were showing the montage, and they were begging and pleading for him to point out son and say, aye, he should get in trouble for this or this. But Chris Boyd summed it up perfectly and killed the narrative like that when he says, if this was now Alfredo Morelos, we wouldn't be showing it. It was glorious watching them scramble as he said it. And he's 100% correct, by the way, because this season alone we've had countless incidences involving a centre forward and a centre half. You've had McLean from Hearts giving it to the centre forward, or even Sam Cosgrove nearly every single game doing the exact same thing. But where that gets labelled as being clever or being a wee bit cheeky from the centre forward, when it's Alfredo Morelos, they're looking for punishments and saying that he's daft. And everything we've spoken about so far is one simple Google away, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it for yourself. But in that exact game in the second half, Alfredo Morelos did receive a second yellow card and was sent off for his celebration in front of the Motherwell fans, which I said at the time as well, if you're going to start booking people for that, you're booking a centre forward every single away game, because it happens all the time. But anyway, let's move it away from that, right? They got the red card, they got Alfredo Morelos, and they lambasted him for being stupid and silly and immature, for celebrating in front of the away fans, like, even though everyone does it pretty much every single away game. But let's move away from that, right, and jump forward to the Old Firm game at the end of the month, where Rangers once again played Celtic absolutely off the park, the second time in the last couple of weeks where that was actually happening, but where they benefited from a clear offside goal in the cup final with their one and only shot. They weren't as lucky this time, as Rangers managed to put the ball in the back of net twice and come away with a well-deserved win from Parkhead. Now, in the very last minute of that game, Alfredo Morelos was sent off once again after receiving a second yellow card for a dive, which again I've got absolutely no problems with. The referee got that one spot on, but on his way off the park he gave a "it's over" gesture, which has already been... I'm not even want to go into this, right, because it's almost a meme at this point about how many situations and examples that this has been used in the exact context as Rangers and Alfredo Morelos says. Hell, it's been used on cricket and soccer since this incident at Parkhead. But with Rangers outplaying Celtic again and coming away with all 3 points from Parkhead, they could not allow that to be the narrative over the winter break, so they decided to narrow in on their favourite target and talk about Alfredo Morelos negatively over the next 17 days. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the meltdown of all meltdowns happened because they lost one game, and it featured some of the most embarrassing posts and articles I have ever seen from your likes of your Chris Suttons and your John Hartsons. Not only were they out here complaining about Alfredo Morelos' gesture, there was articles written about Ryan Kent's celebration, there was articles written about Gerrard's celebration after the final whistle, and they even went as far as to complain about the way that Steven Gerrard shook Neil Lennon's hand. No, I'm no kidding. Honestly, I've never seen anything like it, and because I do this YouTube channel, I'm getting tagged in every single thing, and I was sitting back thinking, are you shitting me that they are still greeting about this because they lost one single game? And it wasn't just the usual suspects that was rolled out. Nah. They prompted some of the most Ranger-hating people I have ever seen to come out here, and one even dared to say that Alfredo Morelos was a waster. What kind of sad publisher, what kind of sad outlet must you be to allow some Rangers-hating man to come in there and call the top goal scorer in the country and the joint top goal scorer in the Europa League a waster? And that is where it turned for me, to allow that kind of targeted abuse at a certain player over such a long period of time, yet so many of the usual suspects have now came out in drones over the last 48 hours defending Lee Griffiths throwing an object at a fan because he was a victim of verbal abuse. Are you kidding me? How can you sit there with a straight face and write out your tweets and write out your articles defending this when the majorities haven't got any problems at all firing abuse at Morelos over the last 3 years? The difference in the way these things are being reported in our country is absolutely scandalous. Yes, Lee Griffiths was subject to verbal abuse, but can you honestly argue with me in the comment section below that Morelos doesn't get abuse every week for the stand? Alfredo Morelos is booed at every single stadium he goes to. He gets chants sung about him at every single stadium he goes to. But has that ever been used by the media in defence of what he's went on to do in the match? Never. It's always been lambasted, told to grow up, told to get on with it, and told to keep his head in the game. The same people that sang that tune to Alfredo Morelos has been singing a very different one over the last couple of days, and hell, they've even started to rewrite history. Just last night, John Hartson was on the radio defending Lee Griffiths' actions because of the verbal abuse, saying it's completely different. It was just a soft underhand throw at the fans. What Morelos did is he ran over to the Motherwell fans and gave them the finger. That didn't happen, by the way, and I don't know what's worse, the fact that he went on there and done a rant lying about that for a couple of minutes, or the other people that was in the studio at the time just allowed that to sit there even though they knew it was lies. They allowed the lies to be filled through the air, didn't correct them once, they allowed it to happen, and they just moved on. a shambles. Do you see what I'm saying? They just come out and say whatever they want about this laddie, and there's never ever any repercussions. I hope to God Rangers release a statement or come out and defend Morelos, because the guy deserves to be defended, because that last night was just flat out lies. The cries for consistency in our game from the media and the pundits seem to fall very, very silent when it's a Celtic player that's stepping out of line, and I honestly just didn't get it. Surely for the betterment of Scottish football, you want to keep it consistent, you want to keep everyone fair, you want everyone on the same standard. You didn't want heroes and villains in our game. If you just start reporting it fairly and hold the same standard, it'll be for the betterment of the game. Surely. But that's where I'm going to end today's video. I'm going to stop it right there, because I could go on and on and on, but I didn't want to take up all your day. All I want to do now is just ask you for your thoughts and opinions on this subject. Am I just crazy? Am I tin hat? Am I just absolutely mental? Or is there something really poisonous within the Scottish game and it's just getting worse? But as always, before we wrap up today's video, we're going to jump over to Twitter and hear from the people. The first one comes in from Mike G, and he writes in, Stuart said Griffiths throwing tape at the crowd had mitigated circumstances, so the abuse Morelos surely had the same circumstances. It's wrong, there's no excuse to throw anything at a player or a fan. I feel this has set a very horrible precedent. Exactly, mate. They should have just came on there and went, no, it's completely wrong, and that's it. They shouldn't start looking to defend it, because that is when it becomes obvious of their agenda. Bob Steele says nothing much to say except the Scottish media are an absolute embarrassment. Anywhere else they wouldn't keep their job. True Blue 72 writes in, Hearts and Lions saying Morelos gave Motherwell the middle finger. Michael Stewart saying we have to take into consideration what was said to Griffiths, but no consideration was given to Morelos either, where he gets called anything. Sutton, 20 plus day in the meltdown. The list is honestly endless. SP writes in, I think it's downplayed far too much the damage that the negative press does to our club, and our players really shouldn't be understated. Snake Harper writes in, as much as I love to say no one likes us, we don't care, I'd like us to go after these hypocrites in the media. Their bias has become so toxic, will only get worse the more success we get. They need called out now, as they are blatantly lying. Here's hoping 55 ends them. Exactly, Snake Harper. That's exactly why I'm making today's video, mate. We are up here. Blue Bastion writes in, it's clear that what is actually happening with the usual suspects within Scottish media is they are desperately trying to minimalise or trivialise any negative impact on Celtic, at the same time as maximising the negativity towards Rangers, even when it's blatant lies. Exactly, mate. And the last one we're going to read out actually comes from Mark Mitchell, and he writes in, so it's okay for Griffiths to throw tape at a fan, but I bet it would be a very different story if Morelos did the same. I think I'm pretty damn agreeing with you there, Mark. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You've heard from the people, you've heard from myself. If you haven't done so already, you know what to do by now. I'd be genuinely very curious to know what you're thinking down there in the comment section below. But as always, I've been CJ Romani2. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.